glad you're here. So you guys, I am going to talk to you about sleep. So there's so many things about sleep that a lot of people don't even realize are important and what's happening in our sleep. We've all heard, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Well, guess what? You might be dead sooner than the rest of your peers if you're not getting as much sleep as they are, because sleep is critically important. And I'm going to go into details on this here in a little bit about just the different aspects of how to optimize your sleep. There is 4 ways that I'm going to talk, no, 3 ways. 3 ways. And then 4 ways on really what's like the science behind the sleep and what's really happening. Now, for those of you who have my book, there's a chapter 6 in my book that talks about sleep, and it goes into the different stages of sleep. For example, stages 1 and 2, which are the NREM, N-R-E-M. And this is when you drift between waking and sleeping as you disengage from your surroundings, which NREM stands for non-rapid eye movement. And REM means rapid eye movement. So NREM stages, there's NREM stages 1 and 2, and then there's NREM stages 3 and 4, and then there's also REM stages. So NREM stages 3 and 4 are actually the deepest, most restorative parts of your sleep. And this is when your heart rate when you first fall asleep, it starts to slow down, and actually so does your body's temperature. So one of the things I'm going to talk to you tonight is about an ideal temperature for your room to be, your home to be at nighttime, for you to really tap into adequate amounts of sleep and healthy sleep. So this is the deepest. NREM stages 3 and 4 is the deepest, the most restorative parts of your sleep. And you're releasing HGH, which is human growth hormone, in those stages. And your heart rate slows, your temperature slows, your blood flow starts to move to your muscles to build them and repair them, and to grow new muscle tissues, okay? This is when it all happens. And hormones are also released during this period as well that are essential for muscle growth. And also mood and appetite regulation. So I'm going to pause real quick. I want to make sure I mention this, is that you guys can post any questions that you have during this topic. Go ahead and post them at any time. And if I see them, I'll announce, I'll speak the answer right away. And if I don't, I'll circle back and I'll read through all of them. So then REM, rapid eye movement, stage 5 is when your muscles turn off and energy is supplied to your brain and to the rest of your body. So this is like recharging your batteries. It provides the focus and the energy you need for the following day. And this is also the time when you dream. REM sleep occurs about 90 minutes after you fall asleep. And then also it cycles back every 90 minutes or so throughout the night, with a longer period of REM sleep as the cycle progresses. Okay, so sleep is your number 1 weapon for health, for repair, for hormone therapy, your own natural hormone replacement therapy. It's all from your sleep. Building and repairing, getting your mind right and repaired, and the blood flowing to the right parts of the brain is important as well. Now, I want to take a moment just to pause here on that. Obviously, you guys, diet matters, environment matters, and also exercise matters, okay? But sleep is a huge part of this. So what I want you to do, you can read through my book, but I'm going to kind of put this down and just want to make sure I look through this and make sure that I don't miss anything. So in my book, I actually have some tips I might kind of circle back and read through some of those here in the end. But right now, I want to get into the nuts and bolts of this conversation because sleep is so key. And, you know, you're going through these different brain waves. So your brain actually has beta, alpha, delta, gamma, theta, okay? And when you're awake, you're in the beta and alpha all the time. Mainly beta, like high brain waves, a lot of activity. And when you meditate, you downregulate those brain waves and you get into alpha and then delta, okay? And deep meditations can even tap you into gamma and theta. But gamma and theta are, delta, gamma, and theta brain waves are all happening when you are sleeping, okay? All right, can you see that? You can see my halo light. Okay, so we got beta. These are like the beta brain waves. And then we've got alpha, which is oh, that one doesn't work. You got alpha, which is like this. Okay. Delta. We're going to be further apart. Can you see that? And then, so you got, I won't erase that just yet. I always want to say delete it. I won't delete it. Okay, then you got gamma. And then you got theta. I'm just going to use the same one. Like it's like this. Okay, so those are your brain waves. Now, when you're meditating, you're going from this active 60,000, this is when you're awake, you've got 60,000 thoughts a day, right? And so when you got 60,000 thoughts a day happening and all that's happening in your brain, you're up there. And you're sometimes in here if you're an avid meditator and your brain waves have slowed down quite a bit due to constant meditation practice. You're going to be here more. You'll be here a lot in an activated state, but you'll be here a lot as well. And you'll be able to, once you start meditating quite a bit, to go in between these two. And then these are happening in deep meditation and deep sleep, okay? So these are your brain waves. And one of the ways that I like to, the acronym is beta, alpha, delta, gamma, theta. It's BAD, bad, God, and then those are just the acronyms I came up with. Bad, and then God. God is not bad, but BAD, bad, and then G, and then T, God, and then I had a word for the T, but I used to have the theta and the gamma switch, so I used to say bad, then God, but then I realized, oh, I'm wrong with that. So bad, and then it's God, and then T, so it could be truth, okay? So yeah, that's perfect. Bad, and then we go to God truth. Okay, that's what we're gonna roll with. So godly truth. So I'm gonna leave this here, and because I'm gonna talk more about the different things that are happening in our brain and our body. So number one, melatonin is released when it starts to get dark outside. This is normal for our body. These are part of our hormonal system, and you got to be able to regulate your hormones and your endocrine system. And so the melatonin is a part of the endocrine system and the hormonal system. It's released by your thyroid, and also, so with melatonin, it starts to be released at darkness, nighttime. And now one of the things that is severely disrupted, has severely disrupted our melatonin production and release is these phones. I was gonna look for my phone, it's right here. This phone, this computer, artificial light in our homes. So you guys, way back in, pre-technology, pre-TVs, what would people do? Pre-electricity, they had candles and they went to bed, but they woke up at the crack of dawn, they woke up with the sunshine. And now because of technology, because of lighting and artificial lighting, we have been able to manipulate our sleep cycles, and it has severely impacted people of our our world, because they've actually been able to stimulate sunlight with artificial light. And the thing about that is our body has what are called photoreceptors, okay? And those photoreceptor sites in our body are everywhere along our skin. They're in our, it's not just our eyes, it's in our skin. It's every part of our body is literally like an eyeball to noticing light, okay? I wonder if I wrote this down. I think it was, I don't remember what university it was. A university did a study on a dark room and completely dark room. And what they did is they put a light behind somebody's knee, and that light disrupted their sleep because the photoreceptors in the legs have stimulated the brain to continue to wake up because like the sun is coming up. So if there's light, that's going to disrupt your melatonin levels, your melatonin release, and also your sleep as well. So first things first, your melatonin releases, this makes you sleepy, okay? And between the hours of normally like 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., that's when your melatonin is the highest. And that's when your body can actually get the deepest sleep, all right? Now, number two, what happens when you fall asleep is you go into thermoregulation. And this is when the body temperature starts to drop and you go into stages 1 and 2, and then stages 3 and 4 of the NREM sleep periods. And so you cycle in and out. You go start in NREM, and then you have a REM period, and then you go to NREM stages 3 and 4. And REM, like it said, circles in and out of your sleep cycle, okay? So thermoregulation, this is a drop in your body's temperature. This is when your body is literally repairing, building, and repairing. So I want to take a moment to tell you about muscle tissue. So when you're building your biceps, for example, and you're lifting the weights, what you're doing is you're actually like tearing that muscle tissue, and that muscle tissue tears down, it tears, and by its rebuilding process, it grows bigger, okay? And by eating the right foods and having the right appropriate foods, drinks, amino acids, the proteins, those are going to help repair the muscle. And the same thing happens in your body at nighttime. It is repairing, and that's when your muscles are building and repairing, is at nighttime. Now, so one of the things that you can do at nighttime is this is a tough one for me, but I've started to do it, is turn your heat down in the winter to 65 degrees and don't sleep under a heating blanket. So for me, when my toes are freezing at nighttime, I gotta get in and get my toes warm, but then I gotta turn everything off. My house needs to be around 65 to 68 degrees. This is ideal temperature for your body to actually have the proper melatonin release, to have the proper thyroid and hormone regulation happening with everything from the leptin to the ghrelin to the testosterone to all of the things that are helping the body to repair, okay? And as you're sleeping and as the temperature drops, your body goes into this like cooler period of time. And what happens as you're in that deep sleep, as the melatonin starts to wear off throughout your sleep cycle, your temperature will start to rise again back up towards your normal 86.5, if that's what you are, okay? And then by the time you wake up, you're normal. Your temperature is normal, and sometimes it's even a bit warmer, or you may feel that way. So a couple things I want to mention to you is that, let's see, I think it was Brown University. No, there was a study, Pineal Research magazine. They took college kids and they put them on the same diet, and they got a bunch of sleep, normal sleep. Then they took part of that group and they took away 3 hours of their sleep. And what happened to that group of people whose sleep they took away is their cortisol rose, their melatonin dropped, and the people who got the full 8 hours of sleep actually burned more fat during that time when they were sleeping than the people who had less sleep. And the fat that they burned was the brown adipose tissue, which is called the brown fat, which is actually the really unhealthy kind of fat. And there's actually more mitochondria in this fat. And I want you to know that the melatonin that's released at nighttime actually helps you to burn fat while you're sleeping. Another thing that is released when you're sleeping is HGH. I mentioned that earlier, and that's human growth hormone. That's released in your first deep period of sleep. And also, just a side note for those of you who like yoga, who are really starting to get interested in the yoga, HGH is also released when your brain releases GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid. That's a neurotransmitter that calms your central nervous system. So GABA is released, and so is HGH. Now, what's happening in that process is a parasympathetic nervous system response. So the rest and digest is happening, okay? The rest and digest gives your body that comfortable nervous system, that place of ease and peace where you start to build and repair. And it's like drinking a big glass of self-love when you're in that parasympathetic nervous system, because you can't, like science is doing what it can to prove to us that sleep matters, and that HGH, the release of HGH, the gamma that's released when you're doing yoga, that all of these things together are helpful for you to create a peaceful, healthy being. But it can only do so much. But the thing about this, you guys, is that knowing this and doing are so, so important. You can learn all this and you can read this research and you can know this, but actually doing this, first setting yourself up to win, setting yourself up to have the good night's sleep, and B, actually having the good night's sleep, okay? So sometimes we're going to talk about that. It might be a little bit out of your control. So we're going to talk to you about a few things that you can do to help yourself get the better sleep, okay? One of the things I already mentioned is turn your temperature down at night. Get it cold. One of the studies that they found with people who had insomnia is that they didn't change anything else in these people's lives, but they put them in it's like a cryo suit that was colder, and it lowered their body temperature. Boom, insomnia went away and these people slept. And so that alone was their confirmation that the temperature matters. Hold on one second. Okay. Okay, so melatonin. This is key, and a lot of people take melatonin supplements. But how you get melatonin and how you get the proper amounts of it is you have a routine. You have a sleep cycle. Because what happens is your body gets regulated in the sleep cycle. You know, let's say you go to bed all the time, around 9:30 p.m. and you wake up at like 6:30 a.m. If that's your sleep cycle, then your melatonin is going to start to be released around 6:30 at night, maybe 7:30. You're going to have this window of time where your body is starting to wind down and your melatonin is starting to be released. And then by the time 9:30 hits, you should be pretty tired. That melatonin is pretty kicked in. It's ready to go. It knows your sleep cycle, and you can sleep. The problem is when you have an irregular sleep cycle and you're going to sleep at 9:30 one night, 10:30, 11:30 another night, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. on the weekends, you're really, really torching your body's ability to create the adequate amounts of melatonin. So having a consistent sleep cycle is absolutely imperative to having proper melatonin. And you guys, melatonin is not something to be messed with. This is a key hormone that is beneficial for muscle rebuilding, fat loss, mitochondria fat burning of the brown fat, and what else? It also helps with the regulation of all the other hormones. So the leptin, the ghrelin, the testosterone. Okay. So the other thing that you need to release melatonin, this is so important, is darkness. Have your bedroom completely dark. No TVs, no phones. You can't be looking at this phone at the end of the day when you got the lights off and you've got this thing shining in your eyes, because it's going to stimulate the sun. And it's not the same, but there's different lights that our photoreceptors take in, and light is light. So researchers have found that there are blue rays, and you can get blue blocking, like nighttime glasses that can block some of the blue rays that your computer puts out or your phone puts out. So I'm going to recap. Melatonin is released at nighttime. You got to have a consistent schedule of when you sleep and when you wake. Melatonin is going to start being released ahead of time so that by the time your bedtime rolls around, you're going to be able to fall asleep. And I'll get to what wakes you up here in a few minutes. But melatonin is what puts you to sleep. Okay? And if your sleep cycles are all out of whack, melatonin is going to be out of whack, and you need it. You need it to be regulated because of all of the balance that it gives to your body. Okay, number 2 is you need complete darkness. So blue blocking glasses for the phones or your technology, have a time at nighttime where did I write this? Have a time at night where you have a screen curfew. Turn off your phone every night at like 9 p.m. Just phones off, TVs off, computers off. Make that the time for you and your family to connect, because everybody needs this. Nobody's excluded. The kids are not excluded. The husband's not excluded. The wife isn't excluded. You're not excluded. Everybody needs this, okay? So complete darkness. All right, number 3, you guys, this is a really big one, leptin. When you sleep, you have a satiety hormone called leptin. So leptin is released by your brain, and it's the satiety hormone that makes you feel full. It gives you that ability to control your cravings. And when your leptin is low, your ability to control your food cravings is nil. You don't have it. You have no willpower. You have no real control when it comes to your cravings, and that is because your sleep is probably out of whack, you're probably stressed out, and your leptin's out of balance. Okay, so we gotta balance out your sleep in order to balance out your leptins. Okay, also, one other thing that has a big play in this is insulin sensitivity. So people who are diabetic, who have a lot of carbs all of the time, have a high carb diet, are most likely going to run into leptin issues because they're going to have insulin sensitivity. And what that means is the body is not hearing the call anymore of the insulin, so they are going to have to start doing injections because the body is always releasing insulin. So it doesn't know whether or not it should release any, the pancreas releases, what does it release? I'm drawing a blank on that one. It's the insulin, duh. So anyways, like when the leptin, when you're always having the carbs, you're always releasing you're always releasing the insulin. And when there's always a release of insulin, the cells no longer know what to take in or what not to take in, you know, what to hold on to, what to not hold on to. So that's where insulin sensitivity comes from. And then, so the body's always releasing it. There's insulin all the time, and then there's glucose all the time, and that's how people get insulin sensitivity and overweight, because the body has stopped hearing the call, and it's like it's gone deaf. It's not doing what it needs to do when the insulin is being released, okay? So when that happens, that's another problem for leptin. Now, sleep is a big one, because when you have just one night, and who did this study? It was, I believe it was Stanford University, did this study. After one night of sleep deprivation, the leptin levels were tanked. The person the next day really couldn't control their cravings. They had, they craved sugary foods. And you guys, this is just one night of sleep deprivation. So for no better reasons than just to get your hormones regulated, leptin is another one. So just one night of sleep deprivation. So let's say you're traveling or something, and you have come across, maybe you're going across like time zones, and maybe you're going to like California or Eastern, you're going to California, so you're, when you're beat, they're just going to dinner. Like when you're normally going to bed, they're just going to dinner. So you're off, and this is going to give you sleep deprivation. So you've got to be really cognizant and really aware of getting the sleep, and, saying, hey, yes, it's my first night. I don't want to have jet lag. Let's save our night out till tomorrow night, even though you still need those regular hours of sleep. But give yourself the opportunity to sleep, and or even just ask them, hey, can we go to dinner a little earlier? Maybe an hour earlier than they normally would, and it's 2 hours later than you normally would, or something like that, just to really bridge that gap. And then when you're traveling all over the world, like you've got 12 8-hour differences, you're going to have to go through a period of adjustment to get your body regulated back to a new sleep cycle. And it's doable. It's just consistency is the king with everything, okay? So number 4, you guys, the fourth thing that happens when you're not getting adequate amounts of sleep is you have cortisol issues. Now, cortisol is the stress hormone, and it's gotten a really bad rap. And yes, too much cortisol is bad, but it's a hormone and we need it. Cortisol is the hormone that actually starts to increase as you wake up in the morning, because it's the one that wakes you up. And it's so needed. The thyroid needs cortisol to regulate your metabolism. And if your cortisol is off, then your thyroid is going to be off. Your metabolism is going to be off. Your ability to burn fat is going to be off. Your ability to build muscle tissue is going to be off. It's all going to be off when your cortisol is off, when your sleep is off. So if you do nothing more than just get better sleep, perfect. Some people, when they're really stressed out or their body's really out of whack, the number one thing that I start with is getting the right sleep. Like, how much water are you getting and how much sleep are you getting? Those are 1 and 2. Before working out, yes, before diet, because sleep, how much sleep are you getting? Because you can have all the best things happening over here, but if you're sleeping 4 hours a night or 3 or 5, or you've got insomnia, we got to fix that first, because all the other stuff you're doing is it's not even going to matter, because you're not getting the sleep that you need to repair and build your body in the way that you need it to, the way that your brain needs it to. All right, so also with that sleep deprivation, just one night of sleep deprivation raises your cortisol levels and suppresses your melatonin. Just one night. Now, when the cortisol starts to rise, you guys, what happens is that it starts to turn, your body starts to turn to your hard-earned muscle tissue, and it starts to break that down because it's out of balance and it doesn't know what's happening. It's unregulated. So when your muscle starts getting burned for fuel rather than fat for fuel or glucose for fuel, this is called gluconeogenesis, and that's when your muscle begins to turn to glucose to fuel you. And your body, literally, when that happens, is completely out of whack, and it's not operating in a healthy manner because it's like scrambled. The system is scrambled and it's not operating properly. It doesn't know why you're not sleeping right. It doesn't know why melatonin's not releasing. It doesn't know why cortisol is not when it needs to be happening. It's not releasing when it needs to be happening. It doesn't know why leptin's out of balance. Your body just doesn't know. So everything starts to go haywire, okay? This is why sleep is the number one thing for us to do. Okay, so how do we optimize our sleep? I've kind of mentioned this throughout. Number one is, one of the things that researchers have found is that working out in the morning is actually really good for you. If you can work out, now here's the thing. So we've got a lot of people on this figureFIT program that work out at nighttime. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5:30 p.m. That's very normal. You can still get good sleep by doing that. I want to stress that. It's just a matter of doing the workout at that time, having your meal, having your shake, and then having your meal an hour later, cutting off your food, turning off technology. Your body will be tired and ready to go to bed as long as you build that consistent cycle into your mix, okay? But also, let's just say you want to do a quick, this is incredible. This is why the figureFIT is a high intense interval, because high intense interval trainings are the best for your body's energy systems, your mitochondria, your muscle. And now the figureFIT workouts, you guys, are two. It's a 1-2 punch. So it's high intense interval training and it's strength training. So you can break these down into just strength training and not do the high intensity part of it. And the high intensity comes from going from one exercise to the next, to the next, to the next. And at the end of the entire set, pausing for like 5 minutes and completely getting yourself back to like normal breathing, and then going again and going back to back to back to back to back. And that's how we do these, as a high intense interval training. And you can break these down into, like, so let's say there's 8 moves. You can do the first 3, hit it, boom, 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 take a minute break, go back to the top, hit those 3, boom, 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 take a minute to 2 minute break. So however long you did it usually is how you need to double that time. So let's say you worked out for like a minute and a half, then you need a 3 minute break for these workouts, okay? Now let's just say you're experiencing high amounts of stress and your body doesn't need more stress right now. Well, high intensity is actually an added stress to the body. Any workout is, but high intensity is. So you could do just the strength training and just go from one exercise to the next, and not really do it in a high intense format. Just take, like, fully recover, not fully, but recover enough to where you're breathing and you can go to the next one pretty good. So for me, a lot of the times I'll go from like a combination move where it's upper body and lower body combination, and I'm breathing really, really heavy and I'm not recovered yet, but I will go straight into just, and this is why they're built this way. For example, one of the workouts this month is those toe touch taps, those crossover toe touch taps. And I go straight into a rear delt fly. A rear delt fly is not that hard. I'm using 10-pound dumbbells, I'm hunched over and I'm flying. I'm doing the fly and I'm breathing and I'm huffing and puffing, but it's still kind of like a break, you know, because you're not doing that high intensity move, that combination body move. So it's really important to just also understand that exercise matter. Exercise is moving that lymphatic fluid through your body. And you guys, your lymph nodes are here. They're here in your armpit areas. They're here and like in your thighs. We have like 4 times more lymph fluid in our body than we have blood. And I don't know if you know that, but it only moves through movement. And this is our detoxification. It moves our hormones and it moves everything throughout our body. Okay, so getting sleep, maximizing your workout time, and working out in the morning if you can. Okay, so here's what I was going to say. Let's say you do just a quick high intense interval training workout in the morning. What a lot of researchers have shown is that very fast workouts are more effective than long-term cardio, than running, than even strength training is always a win. but then any sort of like cardio or like even a 30-minute to 45-minute workout. A 4-minute, this is crazy, Tabata style workout is better than pretty much everything. And so you could wake up and do like 5-minute workouts and be okay. Okay. So, like for the rest of your life, you could wake up and do 5-minute Tabata style workouts. And that would be like 20 seconds on and a 10-second rest. And you do it for 4 minutes and that's it. And you're done. So let's just say you want to do that in like your off days. And you wake up in the morning and you give yourself a little bit of time to wake up, and then you go do a Tabata style workout, and then maybe do your figureFIT in the off days. But you don't have to do that. So the program that I have is built with the figureFIT workouts and the yoga. And yoga, you guys, is incredible. And we'll get into that here soon. It's probably one of the best things that you can do. So that's just an idea though. So Tabata is really, really, really incredible. And it's so good for you. All right. So let's see. So what they really found though is the people who did do their workouts in the morning, they got more time in those deeper sleep stages, and they slept longer. All right, number 2, devices. Having a device curfew. I mentioned this a few minutes ago. Turning off your devices maybe at 9 o'clock every night and being done. Having that device curfew for you, for your kids, for your family, and just make it non-negotiable. Okay, another thing you can do is, I said earlier, get blue blocking glasses. Or there's a couple of different brands out there. Hang on one second, I'm going to show you mine. Whoa. I got these. These are called Gamma Ray Optics. I got these on Amazon. They got like a little orange, yellowish hue to them. And I put them on every night. So that, and honestly, here's what happens. There's neural regulation in our brain. And so the moment I put these on at the end of the day, I start to get tired. It's like my body knows, and that's science, you guys. That's how the brain works. It's like it's always trying to optimize its life experience here for you, optimize what it has learned. And so at the end of the night, this can be like your thing. It's just like, here's the thing. Smokers, every time they see someone they've smoked with, they crave a cigarette. That's how the brain works. That's why cigarette smoking is so dangerous and so hard to quit, because everywhere they ever smoked, every person they ever smoked with, every car they ever got in that they smoked is a trigger. So this is a trigger for my body to release melatonin at the end of the day and to start making me sleepy. So blue blocking glasses. Another thing that you can do is, if you're going to shut down, like, you can use these and still use technology. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can, okay? That's kind of why these were invented, for those like techie junkies who want to just block out the harming rays. But see, remember, darkness is what matters. So you can do this for a while, but you should still have a curfew at a certain point in time. Maybe you start this at like 8:30, and then at 9:30 these stay on. The TV, the computer goes off, the phone goes off. So maybe for an hour you're using this with your technology, and then you eventually shut it down. Okay, so use that time to connect with your family. Use that time to connect with your kids or your spouse, or go have sex. Go actually do those things at night that are what the bedroom's for, right? There's a whole host of a chemical cocktail that is released when you have orgasms, from dopamine to serotonin to all these good feeling hormones and emotions, hormones and also emotions that happen when you have an orgasm. So that also can be a great benefit for you before you go to sleep. All right, and then number 3, the third way to optimize this is 65 to 68 degrees in your house. make it super dark, no TV in your bedroom. An Italian study did a survey on people who had TVs in their bedrooms and people who did not. And the people who had TVs in their bedrooms had 50% less sex than their non-TV counterparts. All right, so have the sex, be happy, and optimize your sleep. So you guys, that's all I got for you tonight. I've got like a story on my sleep. My sleep was, I talk about it in my book. My son didn't sleep for the first 2 years of his life. He slept like so broken, so intermittently. And as a single mom, it was torture. And I now know what sleep deprivation can do to people. It makes you crazy. And it does. Like my food regulation was off. I ate tons of sugary things. You know, I don't even want to go back there because it was really an awful time. That time alone made me never want to even have a kid again. Because it was awful. It was awful. Sleep deprivation is a real pain. It's pain. What is it? What's the word I'm looking for? It's torture. Yes, thank you. Okay, so let me get to your questions. All right, so we got, first question is from Jen. How does calm magnesium work compared to melatonin? Well, calm magnesium and melatonin are two totally different things. Magnesium is a mineral, and it's just, magnesium is something that usually most active people who are working out, or people who drink a lot of caffeine are going to be deficient in magnesium. So it's just it's a mineral, and it's just like potassium or iron or something like that. So it's not a hormone. Okay, so calm magnesium, a lot of people have that at nighttime, so do I. And for me, I have it so that it can help me move my bowels and help me to go to the bathroom. And B, because my body needs that magnesium, okay? So if you actually just go to the trusty handy Google and say, what does a magnesium deficiency look like? You're gonna see a whole host of things that you probably have and you need it. So from my knowledge and from my experience in nutrition science is that anybody who's working out, anybody who has an active practice, who works out, who runs, who lifts weights, who is involved in sports, needs to supplement with magnesium. And then this is just like having a banana for potassium. So it's the same thing. So you just need the magnesium and you need the potassium. You need iron, you need vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin K. They're all just vitamins and minerals that you need. And so the melatonin is, like I said, it's going to be the thing that puts you to sleep. And it's going to be the thing that also helps you to burn fat. Okay? That, for a lot of you, is going to be the nugget that you take. Because if you're not getting adequate amounts of sleep, you're not going to be burning the fat that your body has the potential to be burning. That sleep study that I talked to you about, where they took 3 hours away from those students, they were all on the same diet, they were all, sleeping 8 to 9 hours, and they took 3.5 hours away from this one group, and they started getting 5 hours of sleep. Well, the 8-hour group had 55% more fat burning than the sleep-deprived group, okay? So I cannot stress enough that your body needs about 8 to 9 hours. 7 to 9 hours is what they say. So hit the middle, go for 8, okay? So Tammy says, my cortisol levels are really high and I've switched over to hypothyroid again. So frustrating. Tammy, talk to me a little bit more about that. I mentioned something else. What is hypothyroid again? Are you taking something for that? Do you have to take something for that? So you guys, right now, with what I'm saying tonight, is just try to put these tools into place, from exercising, having a very consistent sleep schedule, darkness, turn your temperature down at nighttime between 65 and 68 degrees. Get your house cold. It's going to help you. turn your devices off so your melatonin can release, that could be it. That could be it. Like, how much TV do you watch? How much are you on your phone? And if that's not it, then it's going to be something else, okay? So sleep is so critical, but beyond, like, let's just say you nail this sleep thing down right now, and you get this going for like 30 to 60 days, things are going to change. Like, start to get solid amounts of sleep. And then number 2 and 3 are nutrition, your diet, and then your exercise regimen. Okay, so sleep is absolutely number 1. And then what else did I say? Yeah, that's it. Okay, let's talk about, let me see what else. And I think I'll start taking melatonin. Thanks, Liz. Burn fat, burn. Yeah, okay, so Jen, you don't need to supplement with melatonin if your body is regulating correctly, okay? If you've got adequate amounts of sleep and your body is falling asleep around the same time every night, waking up around the same time every day, and your hormone levels are good, you should be fine with the melatonin. You shouldn't have to take an added supplement. Not necessarily will it hurt, but see, I'm a big believer in natural, holistic living and not taking things that we don't need, okay? When I was young, I went off birth control because I was like, why am I doing this to my body? I'm shutting down something that is so natural to my body. And I just didn't feel right about it. I'm like, that's just me. So if you don't need to take it and your body's operating optimally without it, then don't take it. So because here's a couple of my reasoning, and I'm not, there's really I don't actually know this. I don't have a science-based, hang on, I have to move this so I can, I don't have a science-based backing on what I'm about to say. So you can look this up. Like, A, does melatonin supplementation really help? B, does it cross the blood-brain barrier? Does it really work? So I know for sure that GABA, a pill, GABA, G-A-B-A, or gamma. Is that gamma? GABA. So gamma aminobutyric acid. This is called gamma, so I just got confused. It's GABA. So gamma aminobutyric acid. It's the neurotransmitter that's released when you do yoga and makes you calm. So people are like, yeah, let's make it. Let's put it in a pill. Well, guess what? It doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier. It can't get to the brain. It can't get there. So it's a waste of money. It's popping a pill that's not doing anything. It's a placebo, basically. It's not doing anything in the body. So that's just something to think about. If it's working for you, I wouldn't add a supplement. It doesn't hurt. Like, I've actually taken sleep supplements before that have melatonin in them, and it doesn't hurt. So I want to say that. I do know actually that melatonin can cross the blood-brain barrier, so you're fine with that. But I would just always like to say, like, if you don't need it, why take it? Why spend the money on it? By all means, Jen, if you want to take it, take it. Isogenics actually has a brain and sleep support system, and I have taken that. I took that a while back when I had insomnia, and the brain and support sleep system has melatonin, and it also has turmeric in it and CoQ10. So those are all things that are actually really good for you, and I took that for a while. I also took they have a melatonin spray, but it had stevia in it, and I didn't want to have any added sweeteners, and this was like last summer, so I completely cut it out. I just try not to have any added sweeteners in anything that I'm taking, because they matter, and they release insulin, and if I'm trying to burn fat for fuel, it's going to matter, okay? So you ladies, I really want you to get that, is every time you have something that's sweet, it matters, okay? So doing away with those things that have like those sweeteners just to get it in your mouth, sometimes it's just not what you need, okay? Okay, let me go back and see this. Yes, I am Hashimoto's and my cortisol is high again. I take thyroid meds daily. I've been diagnosed since I was 18, so for over 20 years. That's crazy, Tammy. And I gotta say that I believe in your wellness, and I believe in your wholeness, and I believe that you don't need that stuff. I'm not your doctor, but I do believe that you can self-heal yourself by doing all of the things that you're learning here, and that eventually you're not gonna need those medicines. I do believe that fully 100%. So I just want to make sure, I want to say that to you. I want to just say, keep doing what you're doing, keep doing the right things, eat the right foods, get rid of the standard American diet, get the right sleep, think the right thoughts, be with the right partner. Your environment matters. The people you hang around with matters. That all matters. Your stress levels matter. All of that matters, okay? So do what you can do. Do everything you can do in your power, and then maybe, just maybe, you won't need that. A lot of the times, I'm going to say this because this is what I coach. A lot of the times I say this stuff and people are like, no, I need it. I've needed it my whole life. That's your story. You're going to need it as long as that's your story. And your story is going to be backed up by your body, because your body only follows what the mind says. Okay? Your body follows what your mind says. Your belief system is so powerful that it fuels your entire body, your skin, your hair. It's like, it's everything. Your belief system is your programming. So if you ended up believing that you didn't need it, that you were healed, guess what would happen? You wouldn't need it and you'd be healed. Okay? So I know sometimes for people that's a bit woo-woo and they're kind of like, oh, I don't know about that. I just ask you to, what if? Spontaneous healing happens by belief systems changing like that, okay? So I really just wanted to let you know that, okay? All right, thanks, helpful information. I'll observe my sleep more to decide. Yeah, you get to pick, you know, whatever you want to do, Jen. It's totally up to you. It can't hurt you, you know. I know you just ordered a bunch of supplements, so if that's something else you want to take, go right ahead. But I would say, like you just said, observe your sleep to see if you need it. This is a great module for us to really just kind of get aware of what we're doing with our phones, with our technology, with the lights, with our temperature in our house. How dark is it? Do you have a nightlight in your room? That matters. Those photoreceptors that are seeing that nightlight are telling you it's not dark. It's not fully dark. Okay? Tammy, I'd rather not take any meds, so I will really work at following what you teach. I know you will, and you are. You're doing a great job. You can do it, Tammy. Yes! I love you guys. You're so adorable. So you guys, I'm going to jump off. Thank you for being here. And until next time, have a great night, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!